Hey, this is Shane Hips with the Home Pros Radio Show. Not only am I a contractor, I also work in the real estate industry. If you own or operate a real estate brokerage that you're considering stepping away from, or if you're planning your retirement, give me a call so we can discuss how to keep your cash flow coming to you. Don't let all of your hard work fall by the wayside. Call me at 864-326-5252. That's 864-326-5252. I look forward to talking to you.
The Home Pros Radio Show. Brought to you by Prime Lending. Home loans made simple. Welcome to the Home Pros Radio Show, the premier resource for the well-informed homeowner. With over 30 years of combined home inspection and renovation experience, your hosts, Tommy Donovan and Shane Hips, help you stay on top of your home improvement and home maintenance needs. Visit homeprosradio.com to access the trusted product and service providers that are a part of our Home Pros network. Find the Home Pros Radio Show on Facebook and Twitter for regular show updates and additional information on the topics covered on our show.
Let's get right into our this week's photo from the field.
The photo from the field.
What are you looking at? I know what I'm doing.
Did you see
And that's brought to you by KT Plumbing. Check out this photo. What is it? Do you know what it is? I took a picture of it and shared it with my clients to let them know it's a radon mitigation fan. We haven't talked about radon in a few months.
Hold up. This is what the topic's going to go to.
Yeah.
That's an inline fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Remember,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's one of the topics
I was
here.
explaining why I was.
But yeah, that is on a radon mitigation system.
Yes.
But as you said at the beginning of the show, just because something this one is for a radon system because it has that sticker right below it that says it.
Correct.
And you know it goes through the roof and where it goes. But these fans can be used for things other than radon mitigation.
Let's backtrack a little bit. We know it's a radon mitigation fan, as Shane pointed out, for those of you who are watching on our Facebook Live and our YouTube, is that it has a caution sign on it letting you know that this is a radon mitigation fan. It's properly labeled. Mm-hmm. But just because you see a fan like that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what this is for. Yes. There are plenty of material, I guess you could say.
Other uses?
Yes, there are other uses for similar. It's just like just because you see a component in a house doesn't mean that the usage that you're used to seeing it used for means that that's what it's for.
Right.
I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
And this is the point that you have to make.
Yeah, and we always talk about the tools and their uses and stuff. Use the correct tool, use the correct thing. Yeah. But these actually have more than one use. And it's an inline fan.
Their purpose is to move air.
Yeah, anything that you need air and you can put this in the middle of the pipe to pull the air through, it will work for that. Mm-hmm. Now, some people get real creative, which I saw something that was real creative this week that got me thinking about this thing. That's why I was pointing out there's other reasons for it. And I think you said the same thing. The first time I ever used one of these fans, or you saw it, I had used it. Was for bath exhaust fans.
Correct.
Because they didn't want to hear the fans, so we mounted one fan in the attic and then ducked all the different fans
Bathrooms,
to it.
The half bath.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the dilemma there is if you leave the switch on, you never know that the switch is left on. Or let's say it happens to be on a three-way, then you don't know. Yeah, because you can't hear it. So that was the first time I'd seen one. But I actually saw it earlier this week used for something I'd never seen it used for. And I will say it will work, but it was very creative. There's other things that can do the same, repair the same solution. I'll give you a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah.
It was written up in a home inspection that the radon fan was inoperable.
Okay.
So I have a technician out at the house to replace this radon fan. I did air quotes for anyone that's not watching. So the technician's out there. He looks. He's in the crawl space, and he says, Shane, this fan isn't for a radon system. And I was like, wait a minute, you're in the crawl space? He said, yeah, because I didn't realize the fan we were talking about is in the crawl space. So that was my first red flag. I'm like, okay, a radon fan is never supposed to be in a crawl space. It's supposed to be in above the living space or outside of the living space.
That is correct.
not below it. And the reason for that is, say your seal on one of these Fernco's here breaks. Mm-hmm. You are pulling that gas from underneath the house and just dumping it in your crawl space.
Okay.
So that's the main reason you're not supposed to do that. So that was the first red flag. I'm like, wait a minute.
Worst case scenario, if there's a failure of the piping, that fan's blowing air past your living space still.
Correct. So then we look in it a little deeper. Hey, this is Shane Hips with the Home Pros Radio Show. Not only am I a contractor, I also work in the real estate industry. If you own or operate a real estate brokerage that you're considering stepping away from, or if you're planning your retirement, give me a call so we can discuss how to keep your cash flow coming to you. Don't let all of your hard work fall by the wayside. Call me at 864-326-5252. That's 864-326-5252. I look forward to talking to you. Ultimately, what they had done was engineered a foundation vent fan. It's something that could have easily been done with a foundation power vent, foundation power vent. Because what they had done is put the inlet side of the pipe up to one of the vents of the house.
Okay.
Up to one of the foundation vents.
Yeah.
And then went through the fan and then blew the air
to another vent?
over to another section of the crawl space that didn't have any ventilation close to it.
So that was their way of trying to get air into, say, an addition that didn't have any ventilation.
It was one of the long brick ranch houses, porch in the middle, so you can't have vents there. There's no way. And a lot of times, what you end up with there is a lot of times it comes down to a dehumidifier or adding a power vent or something to suck the air through. But yeah, ultimately that's what they had done. They had created. It's almost like a periscope. It came, the pipe was in, then up through the fan, then over, and it blew in the space that needed more ventilation. In their opinion. So
how did air leave that space?
It didn't. It just
It was
blew
just blowing air in there.
It was basically to dry out that space pretty much. I mean, there was other vents further down, but it was. I'm sure, in a way, it served its purpose, but there are other ways of doing that same thing.
Gotcha.
But the good thing on this is we had already been contracted to add a dehumidifier into this house.
Yeah.
So when I called the homeowner, because we were actually working for the buyer because this house has already been closed on now. And I said, good news, bad news. That fan, it's not going to – there's no reason to fix it, And then but I said, but the good news is we're adding a dehumidifier, so you're not going to need it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can't really fix what is there, but we're adding a dehumidifier. Now, they're still going to have the issue with the radon because I think the radon levels were right on – Right on the threshold, they're and they don't and the vapor barrier wasn't any good. Mm-hmm. So once we get that a good vapor barrier down and get everything working the way it's supposed to, we'll have to recheck for the radon levels later just to see. But there were so many moving parts on that right now. But all that to say that these fans can be other things. So just because you see one, don't say, hey, the radon fan, because it could be something else, especially to home inspectors, because he said the radon fan is not functioning.
Yeah.
And it's not in any way used as a radon fan on this house.
So what would I'm assuming that whoever reported it crawled over to it and didn't hear it working.
Well, he had to see it. He couldn't have heard it working. But I guess one of the pipes looked. I'm not sure exactly what he saw and if he traced the actual pipes back, because it never, and maybe the pipe that looks like it's going to the foundation vent, maybe he thought that was the discharge, and then when he got to the outside, he never
I've been fooled by those before, because I've seen situations like that where a vent like that goes to a. It wasn't me, was it? Because I've seen things like that and gone, well, this is a weird mitigation system. And then I realized, oh, that's not what this is.
Right.
My question, what I was wondering is how does the homeowner turn it on if it wasn't functioning? Like, it's such a elaborate type of installation to have in your crawl space for it to not even be running.
And the place that it was at was not in an easily accessible area in any way. Because, like I say, it was at the back part of the house where there weren't any vents. The foundation or the crawl space door was toward the front on the opposite end of the house. So, I mean, it's back in a place where there's ductwork, trunk lines all over the place. So, it wouldn't be a place that's easy to get to.
I've never seen a solution like that before, so I'm wondering if this was a DIY rig.
Oh, it was definitely a DIY.
Gotcha.
I would absolutely say it was.
Yeah. So that's why we label things. We put in contraptions like that. And I guess this kind of backtracks to the original point I wanted to make up with this particular situation is there's so many times I see a radon mitigation system in a house or even the vent piping, and it's not labeled.
Right.
Right? In our areas, we build a new house, we got to at least put a passive ventilation system in.
Right.
We want to at least write on there. Sometimes my favorite is when the contractor writes a skull and crossbones. They draw it on there. But just like this one's labeled, there are plenty of times I'll see piping and all that stuff, and it's not labeled.
Right.
So, sometimes if you're an inspector out there and you see things like this, don't call it something unless you're 1,000% sure that that's what it is, because you could end up looking.
You sound like you're on a Maury Povich show.
Yeah,
1,000%. I'm 1,000,000% sure.
Thank you for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show. If you have a question for the Home Pros, visit us online at homeprosradio.com, where you can also catch our podcast episodes and learn more about the topics and guests we bring to you each week. The Home Pros Radio Show is made possible by Prime Lending, RIC Home Inspections, Closing Contractor, Radon Recon, and Carolina Heating Service. If you are a trusted service provider in our area and would like to contribute to the show, send us a message through our Contact Us page at homeprosradio.com. Once again, thanks for listening to the Home Pros Radio Show.